Okay, folks, just a quick rundown on what we covered in class today. I'll show you a few photos that I took of the whiteboards today. Talked a little bit about factoring greatest common factor out. That was our yesterday's work and an example of that. So you can pause the video and maybe work through that. Then showed an example of how we expanded a polynomial. And then the reverse process is factoring. And the thing we looked at today was that middle line. That's a line within factoring polynomials and expanding polynomials that we need to understand in order to work through factoring these polynomials. And then went through that's at that stage it's called factor by grouping, okay? Or T factoring because you draw a T. So then I worked through 3 examples off the worksheet, which I'll show you in a moment. So there's the example 1 off the worksheet. Working through greatest common factor stuff to do factor by grouping. Here's example number 2. Again, you can pause these videos and write these down and try your best to understand them. Here's example number 3. Okay, so, and then here's the actual worksheet. There we go. So I did one. That wasn't example number 3. I think it was example number 9. It's number 9 off this worksheet. So as you're working through these, if you have a copy of them, that's great. If you don't, well, then you can copy these down in a separate paper and do them there. That's totally fine. There's the first few. You can pause your video and you can record, write these down. Here's the next couple on this side of the page. And then going over the page, there's another 6, I think. There they are. So again, you can pause your video, you can copy those down and work through those. And then just real quickly, I will do an example for you, just so that you have one verbally done. Here's number 15. So factor by grouping involves splitting your 4-term polynomial into 2 groups simply by drawing a T. There's my T. And then I do a greatest common factor of the first 2 terms. Greatest common factor of 2b cubed and minus 6b squared would be 2b squared. So it's the highest number that divides into both. That's a 2. And then for the variable, because it's common between both, it's the lowest exponent. So that would be b squared. And then essentially what we're doing is we're dividing each of these terms by that common factor. So 2b cubed divided by 2b squared, what color was that, blue, gives us just b. And then minus 6b squared divided by minus b squared is just minus 3, end bracket. And then we do the same thing on the other side. We find the greatest common factor between minus 5b and plus 15, and that would be 5. And then you have to remember that whatever sign is in front of this term, that's the same sign that follows down. So this is going to be a minus 5. So then I'm going to factor out a minus 5 from each of these. Divide by minus 5. Negative 5b divided by minus 5 is plus b, positive b, and then plus 15 divided by minus 5 is minus 3. And then the key when factoring by grouping is that these 2 things have to be the same. Okay? If they're not the same, you have to back up, something went wrong. That thing that's the same becomes one of our factors. Our other factor is made up of this, 2b squared, and minus 5. So we get 2b squared minus 5. And that would be factored at this point. Okay, so there's an example done for you so that you have it on record. Something you can rewatch if you need to, working on that yellow sheet as best as you can. We then looked at some pre-factoring number combinations. So our next step is doing another step within our within our factoring polynomials. But before that, we have to have a very good number sense. So really, I just went through some lists that have given you a list of numbers that all you need to do is look at the numbers and determine what our answers are. So basically, a product is anything times something else. So like a times b, and a sum would be a plus b. And what we're looking for are 2 numbers that multiply together to give 6, but those same 2 numbers add together to give 7. And in this case, those numbers are 1 and 6. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 plus 6 is 7. Okay. And then just working through these as some practice. So I'm going to do a few easy ones first, and then we'll go to some more difficult ones. So two numbers that multiply together to give 4, add together to give 5. That would be 4 and 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. Two numbers that multiply together to give, let's go 12. Two numbers that multiply together to give 12, add together to give 8. Our options for 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. To add together to give 8, it would have to be the 2 and 6 combination, 2 and 6. Number 20, 20, two numbers that multiply to 20, add together to give 9. Our combinations that are possible for 20 are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Well, 4 and 5 is the only combination that adds together to give 9, so it's 4 and 5. And then, of course, we aren't just concerned with positive values. We can also do negative values as well. So there's some negative ones on the following pages somewhere. Here we go. Two numbers that multiply together to give -6 and add together to give 1. So our options to multiply to 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. If they multiply to give a negative value, then one of these has to be negative, but they add to give a +1. So that means that this side has to be the positive side, the bigger number, and this side has to be the negative side. So this combination, -1 and 6, would multiply to give -6, but that would add together to give us 5. So it can't be that combination. So then we look at the other one, -2 and +3. -2 times +3 gives us -6, and -2 plus 3 gives us 1. So that is our combination, -2 and 3. Okay, and then just working through these, doing the best you can to try and understand and work with some of these numbers. Okay, just gave that as some practice as well. For those of you that might have missed it prior to that or right after the test, I did give out this pre-factoring activity. Again, you can scroll through. Oh, I got to go back. Sorry, I'll go back because you might not have these worksheets. So of course, if you don't have these worksheets, please feel free to send me an email. I could probably scan them and get them to you very quickly. So here's our pre-factoring number combination worksheet. I'll put it there. You can pause that and copy that down. Then I'll scroll it up. Again, you can pause that and copy that down over the page. There's page 2. I will pause that there. You can pause that there. You can copy that down. The remainder of the page. Over the page to page 3. Remainder of that page. Over the page to page 4. And the remainder of that page. Okay. And then for those of you that might have missed it, I did give out a pre-factoring activity that came after the test that we had the other day. It's kind of like a prelude to what we were doing. So here's that activity. Again, you can write this down on separate paper. There's the first 3 questions. There's the next 3 questions. That takes us to the end of page 1. Here's the top of page 2. Some more at page 2. And the problem question, I think that was it. And then I think the answers were, I think I gave the answers out or I posted the answers. So you'll have to get those off of somebody. Or again, send me an email and I can scan them and send them to you. I'm going to end that video there because the next video I'm going to create and post is going to be the next step to factoring.